and submit that to them. One of the things that they have an interest in, one of the things that we have an interest in, is where everybody's going to go. Make sure that there are places. So what I'm going to do is simply go down the list, and I'm going to ask each of you what destination airport you're either planning on, hoping on, whatever stage that's at. Whether you have that secured in any way, or whether you have a reservation, whether you're on a waiting list, basically. And most importantly, if you're aware of any needs that airport has. We had a meeting at 2 o'clock today with the airport sponsors from Cuba, Sullivan Regional, Washington Regional. Washington County was invited, did not have anyone here, but we will still take information from Washington County to try and determine what projects they have. We did have a good response from the airport sponsors. They brought in plans for expansion. They brought in projects that are, in their opinion, needed at their airport. So what we're going to do is go right down the list here. Mr. DeVries, do you have a destination airport at this point? Okay. Okay. Are you aware of any needs at any of the airports in the region, primarily for Cuba, Sullivan?
No, I don't have any idea what any other airports are contemplating, planning, or have any funding for.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Campa is not here, but Mr. Hoffman?
Yes.
Do you have a destination airport?
No.
Okay. And are you aware of any?
No.
Mr. Dempsey is not here. Mr. Sutcliffe?
Sutcliffe.
Do you have a
I do not.
Okay.
I am 27th on the Washington waiting list.
Okay.
Washington Regional.
Missouri.
The
Washington Regional Airport.
The Washington, Missouri Airport.
Yeah, City of Washington.
City of Washington
Yeah.
Airport.
You're 27th on the list.
The last time I checked, I was.
Have you observed or heard about any kind of needs that Washington has for their airport hangars?
I've flown airplanes out of there as the floodwaters have approached.
Okay. Is that a concern with the airport, or?
It's a concern with me.
Okay.
That's always a concern over there.
Okay. And since you're on a waiting list, can I assume that hangars would be a priority in your opinion for?
I need a hangar, yes.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Whoop. Ms. Brown. Mr. Brown, hangar number 5.
DB. Well, quite frankly, I'm on everybody's waiting list. I talked to everyone yesterday. Washington IE, the one that's near town, just across the bridge, has got 10 on the books to be built, but they're not out of the floodplain. They're in the floodplain still. They don't have any allocation for funding for that area where they're going to build it up and get it out there. Cuba has none. Basically 0 at this point. I have hopefully captured one of those, but not for myself. If you're familiar with Don Harden, he's been pushed out as well. And he's got a little S2 pits. There's no place to go, and we're both in number 5. You can't put pits outside. But so that pretty much takes there is no available hangars within. Actually, I was told you might go talk to Herman, but I got a hold of the gentleman down there as well. there's nothing there. The only thing I really have had any hope for is Sullivan, and that was for a whole different premise, and that is to build my own hangar. And I have a new city administrator, which was previously mayor. I've got a guy named Lady, I believe is the head of the airport board. My interest there was more and get them to convert, as I understand this company airports have done, the shapeports, because they do have like 6 shapeports available, but they just don't want my airplane in a shapeport.
Yeah.
It just is not an airplane you put in shape, nor do you put a piston in a shapeport. So no, I basically have been on St. Charles County, the one on their waiting list for like 5 years. And they have a 20 waiting list. I asked them where am I on the list, they said 20. I talked to Washington, as he said he was 28, well I'm 29, 30. And just put myself on the list. So, but Sullivan, I am number 1 on the list. I worked my way up to them. And so that is for hangar. But there was a 208, I understand, sold. Everybody thought was going to do it. The guy didn't give up his hangar. He planned on buying another airplane. So there's quite a shortage, and now there really isn't any place to go.
Yeah, that's something we're.
So you would go anywhere you could find a spot, a hangar?
Within 50 miles. I have a 172 that I've been for like 15 years. It's got original paint on it, and I had another one with original paint on it. I left out in the winter twice. It never got out in the weather, and the whole top wings checked. In essence, paint couldn't take the weather after all those years. And you're talking about $10,000 to have to repaint it. I mean, that becomes worthless after you repaint it because original paint lets everyone see the original condition. And that's what everyone would like to know. You can cover up a lot of junk with paint.
Okay.
So in reality, I'm desperate to not put this thing out in the weather. And Sullivan's shapeports were built like you would a hangar, whereby the sun would cover both ends. But unfortunately, it also blows out south and north, and you almost might as well not have it. It basically blows the sleet and ice all the way on in your airplane. It's not as bad as being outside, but it's close.
Yeah, I understand.
But I was talking to the engineer, and he says, we have a long waiting list. I says, well, I didn't look at it. I was told I was number 1. There's a little chicanery goes on with regards to waiting lists. Sometimes you don't get it because you're number 1, it kind of slips around you. But there's not much to do about that. So that's what I call human nature. There is favoritism. But I, quite frankly, would be willing, I'm desperate, to build a hangar at Sullivan, but I wouldn't own it. I would give it back to them for 15 years, and I would have it for that long. As my friend Don Harden says, it's 87. He says, you sure you won't need it longer than that? And I says, I really like that.
That is common to build a hangar and then have it revert to the ownership.
I was supposed to talk to the guy. I can talk about the engineering, but I was talking. I believe it's like lady that's over there. They're not supposed to, but they do have an airport board at Sullivan. And you, in order to get anything done, you're supposed to go with them first.
Right. That'd be right.
There's another one there for sale for $200,000. If you want to loan his money at 1%, I'll do that one as well.
Another hangar.
Well, that's not all you get on CDs. So it's fair.
There you go. Yeah, that's true. That's not bad.
I need a 15-year program.
Well, maybe we can talk them into setting up.
I doubt you
$1
can.
million hangar loan pool.
I doubt you can get them to supplement me, but they might.
Mr. Brock.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I didn't catch your name.
I'm Rich Childers. I'm the city administrator.
Okay, I was talking to you on the phone the other day.
Oh, okay.
But, I've kept my plane down in Sullivan, and it was a nice facility, but, location's everything. And, they've got everything we need, it's just too far away. And all the places we've discussed is just, this is 10 minutes from the house.
Do you have a location?
I do know that.
Okay.
They're all unacceptable to me. And St. Clair is just perfect.
Is it a driving distance that makes it unacceptable?
Yeah, driving time. Because I kept it down there for a year, and it just, I never went to go use my plane. It made it unusable.
Mr. Bowers is not here, Mr. Lovinger is not here, Mr. Kinley and Mr. Plummer are not here. Okay. Do any of you have any further information on needs that you've been made aware of at any of the surrounding airports, particularly the four that we're looking at funding?
Let me expand on the question.
Okay.
Instead of you're having knowledge of these, do you foresee, or do you, because you're flying around, you're visiting airports, if you were to recommend improvements to any of these four other airports, Cuba, Sullivan, Washington Regional, or Washington County, what recommendations would you make to them as facilities that they should?
Could you say it again? Speak up a little bit, please. I can't hear very well.
I'm asking, because you know the airports in the region, as opposed to what needs do you think these airports have for what improvement needs, capital needs, should they be looking at to serve not only your particular needs as pilots, but pilots in general? If you were to recommend to Sullivan Regional Airport capital improvements, what types of improvements do you think they need? Which one would be the first on your list, second on your list? And some of the other airports. We're trying to get a feel for what are the real important projects that should be implemented at these other airports.
Oh, I'd like to relate to that. Well, here we're asking other airports to what they need, and we've been telling St. Clair Airport what they needed for years. Why is these other towns going to listen to us what they need? We're out-of-towners, and we're going to their airport. So why should we bother with them telling them what they need to do for us? And we got an airport here, what you need to do for us.
No.
Yeah, that's the problem.
That's not going to be the discussion. Okay. The discussion is about needs.
All right, my answer to that is why should we be out there searching these other airports out? And telling, if you own the airport, I come up to you and I say, you need this, you need your runway extended.
We're not going to have that discussion.
Well, that's the same thing, same discussion.
You are pilots. You've been to these airports. If you are aware of things they need, that's all we're asking.
Well,
if you've noticed something.
Well, I'm sure they're aware of everything they need. And we're not going to tell a man what he needs, just like, hey, you need a new car. I say, hey, you need a new car. Are you going to go buy a new car? No, you're not going to.
I haven't been to the Potosi Airport since 1982. I've been to the Cuba Airport once, probably in the last 5 years where there was anyone there. I'm familiar with the Washington Airport. They published their needs in the paper, I don't know, a month or so ago, and what their plan is. And I haven't talked to anyone in Sullivan about their airport in a very long time.
Okay. Well, that is the intent of the meeting. One, to find out if you have found a location. Two, to find out how secure that location is, whether you're on a waiting list, whether you located a hangar, what the status is. And three, to find out if you are aware of needs that ideally the airport you're moving to, but any of the four airports might have. I mean, that's.
May I make a comment?
Sure.
My reading is just hearsay. Talking, I won't repeat anybody's name here, okay? Is it? Cuba's wanting to close their airport as well.
Could very well be.
Just
I don't know.
the rumor. As I spoke earlier, actually locked down the last hangar they had because it was an accident the way it went vacant, okay? But that's going to be for the pits. One that I've doubled up with my own hangar, and the mayor said was okay. Obviously, the pits, if you're familiar with them, is not an airplane you leave out in the weather. It definitely would be not one. So he has, well, Shade Force. He has two in Shade Force. I on Harvard does. He left here. There's what I think most of us are concerned about. And I don't believe you're going to get Cuba to to want to do any more building. They had and this is hearsay as well, they had a fabulous program when they built the new ones, and it's much better than most airports have. And they paid $243,000 total cost to get these built. They are the best, other than maybe at Creve Coeur, Chesterfield Airport, maybe better, but those were the best for the price. And somehow they got some sort of supplement where they pay like 2.4% interest on it, and it paid itself off. And there is a unbelievable waiting list. It's kind of this price. There's one on the end there that the gentleman sold his airplane, and he will not allow anybody to use it even on the weekends. He's going to hang on to it. So now this.
Sir, could I get you to sign in, please?
They're not going to. I'm going in there, quite frankly, and I'm rehabbing the hangar. It's full of birds. There's unbelievable crap everywhere. That's how desperate the pilots are with hangar space. I'm willing to go in there with my money, and I did it here 2 years ago. I went into the Atkinson hangar because they have one hangar that the doors didn't operate and had a puddle of water in it. I hand carried the rock in, repaired the door, and Charlie Pate was here, and he said, "You want it? You can rent it." That actually was from the previous people that had basically had a 15-year lease on it.
Right.
We are desperate at that point. Quite frankly, it hasn't changed a lot. It was desperate then. Now, I told this to Sullivan, I was in an open hangar in Raleigh, okay, where everybody could come back and forth. It's the only time I ever flew out of there and actually had forced land as a result of gas contamination. It's just my luck that I was going north instead of south, because going north, I have open fields that have just been planted. Yes, I landed it because our airplane had quit running. I had been going south, I'd have been a dead man. So
that was out of the airfield.
I beg your pardon?
That was flying out of Cuba.
No, that was flying on Sullivan.
So,
But the airplane was sitting in Raleigh.
okay.
And yes, you do not leave an airplane out in the weather without risk. And risk is sometimes your own life. And
So
an open hangar, i.e. that people are allowed to move back and forth in, there's no security at all.
So what I'm hearing collectively here is that the greatest need for airport improvements in this region is hangars. That's really what you guys are looking to find.
I think what we're really looking for.
Not only you, but there must be other pilots out there as well.
We're looking for hangars at additional airports. We need more airports in this area.
Well, we definitely need more hangars because there's people who will not buy an airplane because a guy is pretty much foolish if he flies regularly, especially at night, and leaves his airplane at risk. There is a lot of mischief that goes on. We need hangars, but we need secure hangars.
Mr. Bowers, what we're doing is asking everyone if you have a destination airport that you're going to move your plane to when St. Clair Airport closes, if you have that secured, if you're on a waiting list, and if you're aware of any needs that airport might have, kind of in a broad overview.
You want me to make a statement on that, right?
Do you have a destination airport that you're planning to move to or would hope to move to?
No.
Okay.
This is rather new to me about even closure. I've heard rumors of this, but I've actually never ever received any proposal, any statement, or a letter, or anything of that nature like that.
It's been extensively in the paper, sir.
That's, yeah.
Are you familiar with any needs? Is there a particular airport that you would intend to move to?
I have no intention of
Okay.
relocating, and I do not know the
Are you
needs
aware
of the other
okay,
airport
so you don't know
facilities.
needs at the
I don't know what their
Okay.
needs are.
Okay, thank you. I believe so, yes.
I would just like to speak for a moment here. We had a very good meeting this afternoon with the other municipalities, Sullivan, Washington, Cuba, We talked to them a little bit and talked about their needs at their facilities and what kind of upgrades would be made if we were successful in closing this facility. There's a considerable amount of money that would go back into airports within the region. And we heard some comments from them on what their needs were. But through the meeting and continuously through those meetings, I had stressed to both Sullivan, Washington, and also Cuba that our main concern would be that if we had anything to do with allocating any funds, was our top priority to relocate our pilots in a hangar. That was our priority, and that's where we would seek to spend the money if it was given up to us. So what we were hopeful for tonight is if we are successful, we do want to try to help the pilots that are at this facility relocate to a new hangar somewhere. But we can't do that without help. I mean, if we're successful, we're going to go through with this. It's going to happen, and we would like to very much help each and every one of you relocate to another facility. In a facility that you could park your plane in a hangar.
And
that's going to be our priority.
If the logic behind that for your needs favors Washington Regional over Sullivan or Cuba over Washington County, we need to know that.
I think the timing is important here. Funding of improvements is another, I'm back to the security of the aircraft. I don't have a clue how you're going to do your allocations. I was sitting, I don't need to know. I don't want to know. But I would tell you that the funds I is giving to the Federal Aviation Administration is going to have a whole different group of administrators deciding where it should go. I don't think, but I do know that in the process of you developing the shopping center and developing the whole area, that you have many options with regards to the TIF program. And for example, when we did it at Manchester, we spent a tremendous amount of money that I thought was unqualified. That we basically give everyone twice the appraised value of their homes just to get them to move, and then we moved them.
That has nothing to do with the relocation of the airport. That has nothing to do with this. What we're trying to do is collectively help the tenants move to another facility, help pay for that move, and secure a hangar for you if it's possible.
How would you plan to do that other than through the FAA?
One of the things that I've been hearing is a concern on timing.
That's
and obviously, if I suppose, standard format, I don't know if you can have a standard format for something that doesn't happen very often, but the standard format would be the full and complete release of the land, sale of the land, transfer of proceeds, and then the funding would start. I think one of the things we need to propose is some mechanism to allocate advance funds.
Well, let me, before you go there, that's not correct.
No?
No,
Okay.
that is not correct. The way I interpret it is we're supposed to put a plan together for the FAA.
Right.
And that plan should include the relocation of the tenants of the St. Clair Airport. Mm-hmm. And then they approve that plan. Is that not how that was set up?
Yeah, we're supposed to identify how the money should be redistributed in the area to benefit local, civil aviation. And, of course, that includes how are the pilots at St. Clair going to be accommodated at some other airport. And we have to propose to meaning the city of St. Clair, has to propose to the FAA, and also MoDOT, because they're involved in this thing, how and the amount of funds that should go to specific airports for specific projects. we're asking the airports, what do you need in terms of facilities? How long will it take you to bring them online? How much do you think it's going to cost? Are going to be environmental issues involved with those processes? So we have an understanding of how their project could move forward. Same token, we want to hear from the pilots. In your group particularly, where might you go? Because that's going to have a bearing on how we suggest that the money be spent. So if you tell us that you are going to relocate your aircraft to XY airport, and we know that XY airport has these needs, we can kind of formulate a strategy, a program that's going to get everybody whole over there.
Okay,
So we need to know that
let me
information.
show you what you're asking, in my opinion. You're saying, okay, worst case scenario, you guys are not going to have hangars left, so you're going to have a place to go. Obviously, if you get this thing through the FAA, there's not going to be any hangars here on this field, even where you wouldn't be able to get any runway anyway. But what you're not addressing is the timing. You're talking about 2 to 3 years, completely destroy an aircraft in 2 or 3 years. I was offered $59,000.
Well, I don't think the
I'm just telling you, if you're going to,
It's not gonna happen.
throw it out,
It's not gonna happen.
I'm not asking, I wouldn't sell it to you, Calvary Cruise is mine. But the bottom line is, I'm just telling you that you're closing the airport, and it's nice of you to come in and ask us about it, but what you're saying is, okay, you're assuming it's going to be closed. Some people here are assuming it's not going to be. I think it's going to do it, but I'm not going to address that. What I am going to address is, you tell the FAA, hey, this would be where they would like to go. This would be their preference in case of the worst case scenario, i.e., for them, not for you. Worst case scenario for the pilots is the airport be closed. Let's be frank about this. The worst thing for the pilots here is the airport being closed. As far as the FAA is concerned, that's what the FAA should understand. But I'm well aware that the city does need a different vein of revenue, okay? And yes, it'd be difficult, and I've seen it. It may work. I wouldn't want to suggest it would one way or the other. But the point being, you're talking about, or someone was addressing, benefit of aviation. Okay, benefit of aviation, basically you could do that kind of like a big cloud, okay? If anywhere out there, it would do that. But if you're talking about benefiting those that are being dispossessed, and that's really what's happening as a result of this, and no, I don't claim that the city is wanting to do it. But the point being, it isn't the benefit of aviation if 10 pilots, which 8 of them are veterans, okay? Some of them fought in the World War II, like in this case, Don Harden's been pushed out. Just come close to getting killed in Japan. Only reason he didn't is because of atomic bomb, okay? But the bottom line is, we don't want any special privileges. But we really don't want to be pushed out either, especially if we're pushed out into the cold. And that's what we're talking about, putting the airplanes out, because there's a window, a big open window here in order to get this done. And you can't,
Well, I don't think it's going to happen until the city
It will not
has
happen.
the approval from the FAA to proceed. Then the city has to go out and still sell the land and go through that entire process. We're not talking December 2011 here.
You're not talking about,
Something in the
What do you
future.
think you're talking, time-wise? If the FAA allows you to close the airport, how much?
Sometime next
Approval
year.
summer of 2012. Approval of.
Next year?
Yeah.
You think you'll be able to close the airport by
Closure.
summer?
I would
Well,
hope by the beginning.
Look at the Washington scenario. They've been talking about building hangars for 5 years.
All it takes is money.
Right, and that's obviously not a problem at Washington.
That's what we're putting in the equation.
That's precisely the benefit that comes here, because hangars are an extremely low priority on FAA's funding schedule. In fact, they were never even eligible until just a few years ago for federal funding. Now, you can get hangar funding if your airside is completely compliant with all the FAA advisory circulars on laterals, clearances, and there's a plethora of stuff. Then you can get federal funding for your hangars. And I know of just one airport in the United States that has gotten T hangars built. That's Waycross, Georgia.
I'm sorry, say that again?
Waycross, Georgia. Got money for their...
Lynn, Missouri.
Well,
St. Charles County is getting a set.
with federal money?
Yes.
Okay, so it's taken...
MoDOT has done 6 in the last several years
That's MoDOT. I'm talking...
with federal AIP money.
That's terrific. So now you see that there's a chance that we meaning the city of St. Clair, can introduce a whole new pot of money for hangar development, which is what this region needs.
But we're looking at the management of the Washington airport. Like I said, the city has wanted people. I was approached by the city of Washington to build hangars there 10 years ago. The management of the airport changed and the scenario changed. I'm surprised they're building 12 now. I don't see, other than the 12, I don't see them building any more after that for another 5 or 6 years. From what they've published in the paper, they're going to tear down their office and maintenance building and raise it. That will probably happen after they build the next 12 hangars. And after that, they'll probably tear down the 2 hangar buildings they have and raise those and just replace those. The chances of us getting a hangar at Washington is 8 to 10 years down the line.
Why?
They have other priorities. There's 30 people in front of us.
Right now, 31.
All right, so that's going to be an issue, is prioritization of getting hangars so that you can be in a hangar before other people. Really, that's what
I'm sorry?
You're talking about giving us priority over someone else?
Well, I'm not saying that I can do that, and I don't know that can be done, but that's the concern that you have.
You just said
That's
that
an
if there's no money on hangars, how could the FAA come to an airport and prioritize who gets them if they didn't?
They don't do that.
That's what I'm saying. They're not gonna.
That's a local decision.
That's right. And no, I wouldn't want to push ahead of someone. It really irritated me if I waited for 5 years to be next and they took someone in front of me.
On the other hand, if there is earmarked funds for the construction of an unplanned hangar, you're talking about 6 years down the road, if there's an additional hangar that can be built more quickly than that, that produces a set of special circumstances. And that's simply something we're going to have to look at. I think one of the things, as I said before, that we need to note is a concern about timing. I mean, that's obviously a very real issue. You know, airport closes day whatever. That morning, there's not going to be hangars available from the proceeds of the sales. And that's an issue. That's an issue we need to at least note. And whether it's an issue we can do anything about, I can't tell you. But it's certainly something.
What was obviously your purpose for information was to talk to the city administration and mayors, etc. But what hope do you believe you have? Do you understand we have any ability to delegate further funding, i.e. whatever you're going to get back to the FAA? The FAA spent the money, whatever the total amount comes up to, out of the general fund. They're going to spend it as they will. I don't think you're going to get them to designate.
That was a question I had for the FAA. Is that why would we be sitting here in the room telling you where to spend aviation money? And that's what they're asking us to do. They're asking us to present them.
So where is the benefit aviation or something, somehow like that?
Yeah. How can those funds be used in the best interest of general aviation?
Let me ask you.
We'll put one together.
This is a whole different question, but it is important to us. Okay. We're on what I consider a little more than an optional. Okay, because we have 45 days we can notify you, you can notify us. I rent houses, that's almost a month and off, okay? And I can accept that. I don't allow it very long on a tenant. Okay, I move them on. But the point is, given that, it might be presented
see why we wouldn't.
You don't see that'd be a problem?
For 2012, yeah, I don't see the.
I'm just trying to figure out a way to get the money and talk Sullivan into letting me build one. Now, Sullivan was only going to allow me to build one, quite frankly, if they don't think they're going to get federal funds from the military or somebody, in this case from the FAA, to build it. If they think they're going to get federal funds, they're going to say, well, we want this free money. We don't want to wait 15 years. But they don't have any allocation. And what I was trying to get them to do, and this would be what I would think you would be more interested in, shade ports are a complete waste of building. In fact, no one has a decent airplane who's going to leave one in it, except in an interim basis, and no one is going to buy, in this world, a good airplane and put it under. He's just not going to buy one. Therefore, you're going to have less pilots because people are just unwilling to, because there is no utility for putting it somewhere. And now you're risking your flight. So let's back up just a moment. If you're going to try to do something for us immediate, it needs to be in a real closed window, very short timeline. Okay? And the only short time frame I can see, quite frankly, and they only have like 6 left, is to talk to Sullivan and I enhance them in some way, would be monitored otherwise. And to, it looks like to me, and I'm not an engineer, I do have an architect. I thought about going down and letting them show it, and let's give me a show and tell. It is the fastest, easiest way to create 6 hangars within the closest vicinity of this closure if you're going to close it. Now, if you're trying to talk to the FAA in, I know I wouldn't want to use that word really, but if you want to enhance your position with getting the FAA to allow you to close this thing, I would think that you would be interested in finding or creating a way to quickly show and tell them that, hey, these are available. Well, we do know that it could quickly, and there is a waiting list there as well, not for the shade ports. It's the last case scenario. You'll find most airplanes in a shade port. As the guy told me down there in Sullivan, he says about half of the airplanes down here are not flyable, i.e. they haven't been anywhere. Okay. They're just parked.
Why is that?
Rotting down.
The airplanes are rotting down.
The reason for that is the people that go there, it puts it in the shade port, for the most part, the plane is already in pretty bad shape. It's really not flyable. And they don't simply ever have another annual on it. But they don't want to throw it away. This money's tugged into it, so they're paying the least amount of money to keep it covered. Most of them, this is not all of them, because there's 2 in there that belongs to Don Hardy. But this is what I see, financially speaking. The moment you make them into hangars, most of the people that are there now are going to disappear because they don't want to pay the extra money. They got an airplane that's not worth much, and they don't want to spend a lot of money preserving it.
But those shade hangars are occupied then?
No, this is a shade port, sir. No.
Okay.
There's at least 6, maybe 7 of them. I believe 7 of them are open.
When I saw them a year ago, they had open spaces there.
And the only reason 2 of those are occupied now is Don Hardy didn't have any place to go. He's got Pacer and Tri-Pacer in there. And it would be wonderful. Now, Sullivan's got, like everyone else, they got their own attitude, okay? They don't allow you to drive a nail in their hand. You guys have been very flexible about that, okay? You've allowed a lot of, if you will, cabinets put up and stuff like that. 0. So, reality, they got what they have and they don't want to be messed with. I understand that. I don't let them mess with my properties because the next tenant may not want that.
So let me ask you a question. If you had a hangar space available at another airport, would you use that airport?
I would not leave St. Clair until I have to. But here's the deal. And as I explained to Don Hardy today, I says, it's considerably cheaper at Cuba. It's $70 a month, to be candid, okay, for that hangar. And I says, the gas, you will pay for it if you're paying $150, okay? The only thing you're missing is the time. And he's retired. So I said, this is not a problem. Cuba is a little too far out. I checked it this morning. My wife wasn't too happy with me. She came with me. From my house to there is an hour. and you're driving as fast as you are.
I guess what my point is that the FAA has asked us to put a plan together to benefit aviation. One of my suggestions would be to build more hangar space at one of these locations. And you guys are telling me you wouldn't, you're telling me hangar space is a premium, but yet you wouldn't want to go to a hangar. Is that what you're telling me?
We've got a hangar here.
As long as, no, you're going
But the airport's not here, you will not have a hangar.
that is absolutely right.
But the
So
question-
where would you
the question
like your
was,
hangar to
would we
be?
stay here? You know, I'll stay here until I have to leave.
Oh, well, that's
And
a
this is
fair-
why I'm
that's a
wondering
fair question.
I'm sorry, sir.
I said that's a fair question.
So, you know, you were telling me that the airport could be closed as soon as next summer.
The approval could go through.
If the approval could go through, and then
Then there's-
you have to
then
find a
there's all
buyer
the-
for the land, and you have
I
to close
don't,
on
I
it.
don't honestly see anything happening before the end of next year as far as actual
Yeah,
displacement.
this is why I'm asking this. It looks like we're talking about something that's a year and a half, 3 years
And
off.
if there's 30 people on the waiting list, I'd suggest getting on one.
Well, like I told you, I'm on one, but
I mean, that's kind of the bottom line. It's, you know,
Yeah, but no one's answered this question, and I don't know why you won't venture one, but if you will assume that this airport is going to close, and you want to have your airplane in a hangar, yeah, where would you want that hangar to be?
In Manchester.
yeah.
Pacific. Sure, I live there.
How about your home?
It's not a fair question, because I'm talking in Kansas City, or at least some airport, literally they put a piece of paper on the plaza of the top. Yes, that would be where, if I got my wife, I would be, because I would actually do more flying, and I love to fly. So you're asking me what would we like to be? I'd like to be next door to the airport. But, it's really not a fair question. We would probably stay here to close proximity.
With I-4, I'm 2 minutes from I-44. Sullivan becomes a real,
At least you correct me, Mayor, if you will.
you know, it's a half
There
hour.
will not really be a sale of the land per se. We're not going to be looking for a
It
buyer
just-
because
the problem is
in
just
reality,
like
it's going to be
times
land
they use
used for
for
development.
their-
And therefore, the developer himself,
That's kind of like
via the
coming in,
TIF
but
money, will actually
But of the
incorporate that into, and it will be
I'm kind of mixed.
dispersed as part of the development, right? And we cost it, it'll cost.
I don't
What
know.
will happen is.
I've thought about it, and I can't come up with an answer.
Obligation.
There is, that's a whole different, the obligation goes to the FAA.
They take good care
That's
of
just buying out their obligation, not really, it's just allowing you to get an encumbrance off
That's too far.
the
I mean, I love Cuba, but it's that much too
and
far.
reality. It allows it to be free to be sold as will, once they release you. Now, so it isn't a question about when it'll be sold. It can be sold, and reality is part of the normal arrangement of the development program, the moment after they release you. Because as soon as the TIP program all marries
No,
together.
that's not how it works.
Well, in reality, I'm not sure what you're doing, I don't know if Pace is doing it or someone else, but they
What
basically
happens?
sell the bonds, and then the money comes into a pot.
No, the TIF has nothing to do with sale of property. There is no public funds used in
No,
that
I
process.
didn't mean to instruct you that was
This is what's going to happen, and correct me if I'm wrong. Once the FAA says, okay, we will release you from your obligations, we have to put the land out for bid. Then anyone can come in and bid on that site.
right.
And is it going to sell the highest bidder?
Yes.
Okay, then
That's
where do you get your $750,000?
Where do we get our 700?
Well, someone's used another $750,000 going to the FAA.
From the proceeds of the sale.
The unamortized portion of the grant obligations, I believe you said was about 480. So
480.
the net, the original value was 750, but
I understand.
it decreases as
Okay,
time
but
goes.
that
So it's about
really,
480.
that's just basically indebtedness of sort against this city airport system, if you want to call it.
Do you have a target number that you think the FAA would be interested in?
We expect proceeds of the sale to be around $2.5
I'm sorry?
2.5 million plus. And that's the number that the other airports are working with, that's the number the FAA is working with, that's the number we're working with. Obviously, until the land sells, that's a...
Actually, it's not a large price.